A few days ago, in several cities across India, something unusual started happening. People began lining up outside LPG distribution centers. In some places, the queue stretched for hours. Restaurants quietly began trimming their menus. Street food vendors started switching to coal. And in a few homes in Indore, residents even started chaining their LPG cylinders to prevent theft. At first glance, it looks like a simple shortage, a gas supply issue. But if you zoom out, what's unfolding here is actually something much bigger. Because the real story is not just about LPG. It's about how a disruption thousands of kilometers away in one of the world's most strategic waterways can quietly start reshaping the price of everyday life in India. To understand this, we need to go to a narrow stretch of water between Iran and Oman, the Strait of Hormuz. Every day, about 1/5 of the world's oil supply passes through this corridor. It's one of the most important energy checkpoints on the planet. And right now, this region sits at the center of a growing military confrontation involving Iran, the United States, and Israel. When tensions rise here, shipping slows down, insurance costs for tankers shoot up, routes become uncertain, and suddenly the global flow of fuel becomes fragile. For a country like India, which imports vast majority of its energy, this fragility matters a lot. Now here's where the story gets interesting. When people hear about an LPG shortage, they usually think about household cooking cylinders. But the first place where fuel disruptions are felt isn't homes, it's businesses, especially commercial kitchens. Restaurants, street food stalls, canteens, cloud kitchens that power food delivery apps, these businesses rely heavily on commercial LPG cylinders, and when supply becomes uncertain, even temporarily, their costs start rising rapidly almost immediately. Some restaurants start cutting dishes that take longer to cook, some reduce menu options, some shift to coal or firewoods, and some simply shut their kitchen early. What begins as a supply disruption quietly becomes something else, an economic ripple effect. Economists have a name for this. It's called the cost push inflation. And the idea is frankly quite simple. When a key input becomes scarce or expensive, businesses have only two choices. They either absorb the cost and lose money, or they pass it forward. So if cooking gas becomes difficult to obtain, a dosa might cost a little more, a plate of noodles might cost a little more, and eventually the online food delivery order that you make might cost a little more too. Not because restaurants have suddenly become greedy, but because the entire chain that produces that meal just got more expensive. Fuel, transport, cooking time, packaging, delivery logistics, all of it just got expensive. And this is where things start spreading beyond just the restaurants. When households see uncertainty around cooking gas, behavior begins to change quite swiftly. People start conserving fuel. They cook differently. They buy different kinds of foods. Across supermarkets, across grocery stores, there are already signs of this shift that are visible. Sales of instant foods, frozen snacks, and ready-to-cook products have jumped significantly. Because when cooking fuel feels uncertain, people move towards food that require less preparation. It's a small change in behavior, but if you multiply it across millions of households, it starts reshaping demand in the consumer economy. And then comes the most interesting aspect of the story. Even if the immediate shortage eases, the economic effects can linger. Because supply chains don't recover instantly. Shipping companies need confidence that routes are safe, insurance premiums remain elevated, energy markets may remain volatile for a longer period of time, and businesses that already raise their prices rarely rush to lower them again. And this is why inflation often behaves in a very strange way. Shortages can disappear before the prices actually do. We've seen this before, during the oil shock of the 1970s, during the global energy crisis after the Russia-Ukraine war. Fuel disruptions don't stay confined to fuel. They spread into food, into transport, into household budgets, into inflation. So when you see long queues outside LPG agencies, or restaurants quietly dropping dishes from their menus, what you're really seeing is the first visible sign of something much larger, a reminder of how interconnected the modern economy has become, how a military standoff near the Strait of Hormuz, a tanker waiting to cross a narrow waterway, an insurance premium rising somewhere in the global shipping markets, and suddenly the price of your dinner starts changing. Because in today's world, a war near Hormuz doesn't stay near Hormuz. Sometimes it ends up in your kitchen. I'm Abhijit, and you are watching DNA Explained.